Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're part of the team here at Biospark Health, and today we're digging into something pretty much ubiquitous, right? Coffee.
Yeah, coffee. It's everywhere. Hard to imagine a morning without it for so many people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And look, I know what you might be thinking listening to this. Oh, great, another coffee lecture. Either quit it or it's some miracle cure.
Right. Usual extremes. But that's not where we're going today, is it?
Not at all. We're actually diving into what we call the coffee paradox. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. This idea that coffee, the same coffee, can be incredibly supportive for your metabolism, like genuinely boosting how your cells work.
Or it can be really, really detrimental, driving up stress, messing with your health, basically working against you.
And the kicker, it all comes down to how you use it, not if you use it, but how.
Precisely. This isn't about quitting. It's about understanding.
Right.
We're looking at it through the lens of bioenergetics, the framework we talk about a lot on our main Metabolic Revolution podcast. Drawing heavily on the work pioneered by researchers like Dr. Ray Peat.
Yeah, that context is key. Bioenergetics is all about cellular energy.
And if you follow our work, you know we love challenging the conventional wisdom. We've done deep dives on PUFAs, why energy is the master key, the gut metabolism connection.
Oh yeah, sugar, salt, cholesterol myths, the protein obsession, those counterproductive workouts people do.
Cold therapy, the fasting fallacy, omega-3s, even sleep myths. We question it all.
And today, coffee gets the same treatment. The goal is really to give you, the listener, the knowledge to make coffee work for you, to turn it into a metabolic plus, not a minus.
Okay, let's unpack this. The coffee paradox. #1. The common misguided morning ritual and its consequences. So let's start with something super relatable. I bet a lot of listeners probably do this, or used to. I know I did. Many of us on the Biospark team did before we, understood this stuff better.
Oh, for sure. What are we talking about?
That early morning black coffee ritual, like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., big cup of black coffee, maybe some artificial sweetener in there, but basically nothing else in the stomach.
Right, the get up and grind mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost seen as a sign of discipline, isn't it? Like pure, clean energy for the super-driven professional who's up crushing emails before dawn.
Or hitting the gym on empty, fueled only by caffeine. It's glorified almost. Pushing through on willpower and, coffee.
But what's actually going on inside the body when we do that?
Yeah, that's the crucial question. And you're right, it's a classic setup. Even our founder, Dr. Persudi, has shared his own story about this on the main show. Years of doing exactly that.
Black coffee, empty stomach, crack of dawn.
Yep. 5 a.m., thinking
Ah.
it was healthy, 0 calories, pure energy. He'd power through his hospital rounds, feeling that intense jolt.
But it wasn't sustainable. Right?
Not even close. By lunchtime, his hands would be shaky.
Yeah.
3 p.m. hit, and he was just wiped, utterly exhausted, needing that wall. And then by evening, feeling like he needed a glass of wine just to kind of unwind and calm his system down. He sees it now for what it was, just normalized metabolic stress, not healthy at all.
Wow. And that's not an uncommon story.
Not at all. Let me tell you about a client, we can call her Monica. To really hammer this home, she's 42, works in tech, high-pressure job. Came to us with just classic burnout symptoms.
Like what?
Exhausted but wired, you know that feeling. Couldn't sleep well but felt keyed up all the time. Gaining weight even though she swore she was barely eating anything.
Paradoxical weight gain, yeah.
Hair loss, which was really distressing for her. And just severe anxiety, like crippling anxiety sometimes.
And what was her routine like?
Exactly what you described. Black coffee, 6 a.m., nothing else until lunch. And she was almost proud of it, saying she only had 2 cups a day. She thought that was moderate, even healthy.
2 cups doesn't sound excessive on the surface.
Right. But her metabolic markers, they told a completely different story. Cortisol levels were through the roof, astronomical, just screaming chronic stress.
A clear sign something was off.
Definitely. And her morning temperature, which is such a key indicator of metabolic rate, it was 96.2 Fahrenheit. Dangerously low. We want to see it much higher.
Yeah, that indicates a very suppressed metabolism.
And her thyroid.
Yeah.
Barely functioning, just struggling. And here's the real insight, the thing that clicks for so many people. We often mistake our body's stress response for actual energy.
Say that again, that's huge.
We mistake the stress response for energy. Monica's coffee wasn't giving her fuel. It was forcing her body into a metabolic emergency, pumping out stress hormones just to function.
So the coffee itself wasn't the villain.
Exactly. It was how she was using it, when she was using it.
Oh.
That pattern was systematically destroying her metabolism. What's fascinating here is how often we mistake a body's stress response for energy.
Okay, that distinction is critical. The feeling we chase might just be stress. It flips everything upside down, really. So if that jolt isn't real, sustainable energy, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What is happening physiologically when we drink coffee first thing, empty stomach?
What's the mechanism?
Right, let's peel back the layers. This gets to the core of bioenergetics. Think about when you wake up. You've basically been fasting for, what, 8, maybe 10 hours?
Yeah, during sleep. During that time, your liver uses up a lot of its stored glycogen. Glycogen is just stored glucose. It's your liver's primary readily available energy reserve. And it usually holds enough for about that 8-10 hour overnight period.
So by morning, the tank is low.
Pretty low, yeah. Liver glycogen is depleted, and your blood sugar might be naturally lower, too. Your body's kind of running on fumes, metabolically speaking.
Okay, makes sense. Then coffee comes in.
Right, and coffee, fundamentally, is a stimulant. It naturally increases your metabolic rate. It tells your cells, okay, work faster, burn more energy.
Which sounds good, right?
Mhm.
Higher metabolism is generally seen as a positive.
It is inherently a good thing. If, and that's the big if. It's good if your body has the fuel readily available to meet that increased demand. If you have enough glucose circulating and easily accessible.
Ah, the context again. Fuel availability.
Exactly. And here's where the paradox hits hard. You drink coffee in that glycogen-depleted, low blood sugar state. Your cells get the message to speed up, but there's no easy fuel source. The demand goes up, but the immediate supply isn't there.
So what does the body do?
It has only one real option: trigger the stress response. It has to. It floods your system with stress hormones, primarily cortisol and adrenaline.
Fight or flight hormones.
Precisely. And their job in this situation is to force the release of glucose. How? By breaking down your body's own tissues, muscle tissue primarily, through a process called gluconeogenesis. It can also liberate fatty acids, but the urgent need is glucose.
So it's literally cannibalizing itself for fuel.
In a way, yes. It's a survival mechanism. It's your body saying, emergency, we need energy, and now W, no matter the cost. This is not sustainable energy production. It's a metabolic fire drill.
And that feeling, the jitters, the anxiety.
That's often the adrenaline and cortisol surge. That's your body reacting to the stress of being pushed hard without fuel. Dr. Ray Peat pointed this out decades ago. He basically said, look, when you study coffee on an empty stomach, you're not just measuring caffeine's effects. You're measuring the combined effects of increased metabolic rate plus the adrenaline surge caused by the drop in available glucose.
It's the stress response you're feeling, not just the caffeine.
Pretty much. That shaky, wired feeling isn't healthy energy. It's your body scrambling. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this highlights a fundamental principle of bioenergetics. Adequate fuel is paramount. You can't push the accelerator without gas in the tank without causing damage.
Wow, okay, that paints a pretty stark picture of the empty stomach coffee habit. It makes complete sense why that would lead to burnout and metabolic issues over time. So does this mean coffee is just fundamentally a stressor? Or is there another side to this kind? Because, like, you hear all these studies about coffee drinkers living longer.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting, as you say. This is the core of the paradox. That very same coffee, consumed under different conditions, with a simple change in context, can become profoundly protective and metabolically supportive.
So it's not inherently bad. It depends.
It absolutely depends. The research is actually incredibly strong on the benefits of coffee when consumed correctly. We're talking numerous large-scale studies showing coffee drinkers have significantly lower rates of some really serious diseases.
Like what kind of things?
Well, lower rates of several types of cancer, for one, reduced risk of Parkinson's disease, better liver function, lower rates of liver disease like cirrhosis and liver cancer, and even remarkably lower rates of death from all causes.
Lower all-cause mortality. That's significant.
It's huge. It suggests coffee, in the right context, is doing something fundamentally protective for the body. It's not just masking fatigue, it's contributing to resilience.
So what are the mechanisms behind that? If it's not stressing the body out, what good things is it doing?
There are quite a few, actually. It's biochemically complex. For instance, we know coffee protects the liver. It seems to help shield liver cells from damage, whether from alcohol or other toxins. In our modern world, with so many environmental stressors, that's a big deal.
Yeah, our livers work hard.
They really do. Coffee also seems to inhibit platelet aggregation. That's when blood platelets clump together. Keeping platelets from getting too sticky is important for cardiovascular health.
Okay, so liver protection, cardiovascular benefits. What else?
Antioxidant effects are a major one. Coffee is rich in antioxidants, but it also does something specific. It can inhibit an enzyme called xanthine oxidase. When this enzyme is overactive, it produces a lot of free radicals, contributing to oxidative stress. Think of it like cellular
So
rust.
coffee helps put the brakes on that rust.
Exactly. It helps quench those free radicals, protecting cells from damage. But, and this is the constant refrain, all these amazing benefits, this protective power, it hinges entirely on context.
Nutritional context.
Nutritional context. Having adequate fuel available. If your body is in that stressed, glycogen-depleted state, the stress response can basically override or negate these protective effects. The body prioritizes immediate survival over long-term protection when it thinks it's under threat.
So the potential is there, but you have to create the right conditions for it.
Precisely. It's a potent tool, but you have to provide the supportive environment for it to work its magic. It's all about working with your body, not against it.
That makes perfect sense. The potential for good is massive,
Yeah.
but only if you avoid triggering that stress response. Okay, let's bring it back to Monica, the tech executive you mentioned earlier. Her story was a stark example of the negative side.
Mm-hmm.
How did understanding this context, this need for nutritional support, change things for her?
Right. Monica's case is just such a fantastic illustration of this principle in action, and the intervention was honestly almost laughably simple on the surface.
What did you have her do?
We made one single change to start. Just one. She started having her coffee with her breakfast instead of on an empty stomach hours before.
That's it. No complex supplements, no weird protocols.
Not initially. Just have your coffee with food. The same amount of coffee she was already drinking, those same 2 cups, but now consumed alongside a balanced breakfast.
What kind of breakfast?
Something metabolically supportive. We aimed for protein, carbs, and some healthy fat. So maybe eggs for protein and fat, some fruit for easily digestible carbs. And she even started adding a little bit of honey in her coffee, not just alongside the meal, for that immediate glucose availability.
So fueling the system before or as the coffee hit.
Exactly. Providing the energy substrate needed to handle the metabolic boost from the coffee without triggering stress. And the results, they were rapid and genuinely profound.
How quickly did she notice changes?
Within 1 week, just 7 days, those awful afternoon energy crashes she had lived with for years completely stopped, gone. That 3 p.m. wall she used to hit vanished.
Wow, 1 week. That's fast.
It was incredibly fast. And then within 2 weeks, her severe anxiety, it decreased dramatically. She reported feeling a sense of calm she hadn't felt in ages. It actually surprised her how much calmer she felt.
That's huge. Anxiety is so debilitating.
Absolutely. And the objective markers shifted too. Within a month, remember her low morning temperature? The 96.2, it rose significantly, up to 97.8 Fahrenheit. Still room for improvement, but a massive jump.
A clear sign her metabolic rate was improving.
Definitely. Her body was generating more heat, producing energy more efficiently, and then the physical changes followed. Within 3 months, without consciously trying to lose weight or restricting calories, she lost 8 pounds. Effortlessly.
It's just by managing the stress response better.
And her hair stopped falling out. She felt, in her words, like she finally understood what coffee is supposed to do. Not that frantic, stressed feeling, but a gentle lift.
That's incredible. A gentle lift, not a desperate whip.
That's exactly it. Her story perfectly encapsulates the core message. Coffee is meant to enhance your metabolism when it's supported. It should work with your body's energy systems, providing synergy, not forcing it into a stressful struggle for survival. It's about partnership, not punishment. #5. The biochemistry behind coffee's metabolic benefits.
Monica's story is so compelling. It really drives home the power of that simple shift. Okay, let's geek out a bit more on the why. We talked about avoiding the stress response, but what are the specific biochemical goodies in coffee that make it such a metabolic ally when consumed correctly? What's it actually doing inside us?
Yeah, this is where it gets really cool, looking beyond just caffeine. Coffee is this complex matrix of hundreds, maybe thousands of different compounds, and many of them have really beneficial effects when your body's in the right state to receive them.
Though beyond just waking you up.
Way beyond. Let's start with cortisol regulation. Most people think coffee equals cortisol spike. And yes, on an empty stomach, absolutely. But here's the twist. Coffee also contains compounds, like chlorogenic acids, which in a fueled state can actually help lower cortisol synthesis.
Wait, lower cortisol?
The exact mechanisms are still being researched, but it seems these compounds can modulate the HPA axis, the stress response system, and potentially inhibit some of the enzymes involved in cortisol production when the body isn't already screaming for glucose. So instead of just jacking up stress, it can potentially contribute to a more balanced hormonal rhythm if you're fueled.
That's counterintuitive but fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Magnesium. This is a big one people miss. Coffee is actually a significant source of magnesium. Depending on the brew, a single cup can give you maybe 10%, even up to 20% of your daily magnesium needs.
Really? I had no idea. Magnesium is crucial for energy, right?
Absolutely critical. It's involved in like over 300 enzymatic reactions, tons of them related to energy production, ATP synthesis, muscle function, nerve function, blood sugar control, stress regulation, the list goes on. And most people are deficient. So coffee contributing magnesium, that's a real metabolic plus.
Okay, cortisol modulation, magnesium source.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Niacin, vitamin B3. Here's a fun fact. Dark roasts actually have significantly more niacin than light roasts, maybe up to 4 times more.
Why is that?
The roasting process itself seems to liberate niacin, making it more available, and niacin is another B vitamin absolutely essential for energy metabolism. It's a key component of NAD and NADP, which are vital for converting food into energy. It also plays roles in DNA repair and cell signaling.
So roast matters for more than just taste. Interesting.
Definitely. Then there's iron regulation. This is super important and often misunderstood. Coffee contains compounds, tannins mostly, that inhibit the absorption of non-heme iron. That's the type of iron found in plant foods and many supplements and fortified foods.
And why is inhibiting iron absorption a good thing? Don't we need iron?
We do need iron, but excess iron, particularly unbound iron, is highly pro-oxidative. It acts like a catalyst for free radical damage, essentially rusting your insides. Iron overload is a major driver of oxidative stress and inflammation for many people, especially men and postmenopausal women.
So coffee helps prevent absorbing too much potentially problematic iron.
Exactly. It helps keep iron levels in a healthier balance. In fact, within the bioenergetic community, it's often recommended to drink coffee with or after consuming iron-rich foods like liver. It sounds contradictory, but the idea is to get the benefits of the liver while mitigating the potential risk of absorbing too much iron too quickly.
That's a very nuanced approach.
Clever. It is. Okay, next up. Let's bust the hydration myth. The idea that coffee is inherently dehydrating. Mostly myth for regular drinkers.
Really? I always thought it made you pee more.
It can have a mild temporary diuretic effect initially, especially if you're not used to it. But for people who drink coffee regularly, the body adapts, and studies show coffee contributes to your total daily fluid intake just like water does. Plus, it comes with those minerals like magnesium and potassium. So it's actually hydrating and provides electrolytes.
Good to know. One less thing to worry about.
Right. And then there are the hormonal effects, which are really exciting. Progesterone synergy. Research indicates coffee consumption can increase progesterone levels in both blood and tissues.
Progesterone. That's huge, especially for women's health.
It's massive. Progesterone is crucial for balancing estrogen, supporting mood, sleep, thyroid function, bone health, fertility. When progesterone is low relative to estrogen, you get symptoms of estrogen dominance. Coffee seems to help support progesterone production or availability.
That could be game-changing for so many women.
It really could be. And related to that, coffee also appears to have anti-estrogenic effects. It seems to help the body metabolize and clear excess estrogen, likely through supporting liver detoxification pathways. In a world where we're exposed to so many estrogenic compounds, having something that helps maintain a healthier estrogen-progesterone balance is incredibly valuable.
Man. Cortisol regulation, magnesium, niacin, iron balance, hydration, progesterone support, anti-estrogenic. It's like a multivitamin in a cup almost.
When used correctly, it offers a surprisingly broad spectrum of metabolic support. It's so much more than just caffeine. It's a complex, biochemically active brew.
Okay, that biochemical breakdown is seriously impressive. It really shifts the perspective. But let's tackle the big elephants in the room. The things that make people quit coffee or feel bad about drinking it. Number 1, coffee ruins my sleep. Number 2, I'm just too sensitive to caffeine. How do these fit into the bioenergetic picture? Are they real or also context dependent?
Great questions. And yes, these are probably the top 2 concerns we hear. Let's break them down. Because like everything else with coffee, context is key. First, sleep. The big worry is caffeine keeping you awake. And caffeine is a stimulant, no doubt. The key here is understanding its half-life.
How long it stays in your system.
Exactly. Caffeine's half-life is roughly 5 to 6 hours for most people. That means after 5-6 hours, only half the caffeine you consumed is left. After another 5-6 hours, half of that is left, and so on.
So it takes a while to clear completely.
It does. Which leads to a simple, practical rule. Finish your coffee intake relatively early in the day. For most people, having your last cup by noon or 1 p.m. at the absolute latest gives your body ample time, usually 10+ hours, to clear the vast majority of the caffeine before bedtime.
So timing is crucial for sleep. No afternoon or evening coffee.
Generally, yes. That avoids the direct stimulating effect interfering with falling asleep. But here's the deeper bioenergetic point that often gets missed. When coffee is used correctly with food, not causing stress, it can actually improve sleep quality.
Improve sleep. How does that work?
By supporting your daytime metabolism. Think about it. If your metabolism is running efficiently during the day, fueled properly, producing steady energy, your body doesn't need to rely on stress hormones like cortisol to keep you going. A well-run daytime metabolism usually translates to a calmer, more stable nighttime metabolism. You're less likely to have those disruptive cortisol spikes overnight that can cause wake-ups or restless sleep.
For good daytime energy production prevents nighttime stress responses that mess with sleep.
Precisely. Poor daytime metabolism often leads to poor nighttime metabolism and sleep issues. Coffee, used correctly, supports the daytime part. Let me share another client story, David. Chronic insomniac. Years. Tried everything.
What was his coffee habit?
Multiple cups, all day long. Always on an empty stomach, often using it specifically to suppress his appetite because he was trying to restrict calories. His body was just bathing in stress hormones 24/7.
A perfect storm for insomnia.
Absolutely. The misuse of coffee, driving that constant stress, was the root cause of his terrible sleep. So what did we do?
Let me guess. Coffee with food, none after 1 p.m.
You got it. We structured it. 2-3 cups max. Always with a meal or substantial snack, finished by early afternoon. We also added a small, carb-rich bedtime snack like milk and honey to provide fuel overnight and prevent nighttime cortisol surges.
And the result for David?
Within 2 weeks, he was sleeping through the night, for the first time in 5 years. It wasn't the coffee itself causing insomnia, it was the metabolic chaos created by drinking it incorrectly.
Incredible. Okay, what about caffeine sensitivity? People who get super jittery, anxious, even nauseous from just a little bit.
Right, I'm just sensitive. Let's reframe that. Based on what we see clinically and what the bioenergetic model suggests, most of what people call caffeine sensitivity is actually glycogen depletion sensitivity.
Sensitivity to low fuel, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your body isn't reacting negatively to the caffeine molecule itself. It's reacting to the demand caffeine places on a system that doesn't have enough readily available fuel, liver glycogen. The caffeine asks the engine to rev higher, but the fuel tank is empty, so the engine sputters, shakes, and sends out alarm signals, the jitters, anxiety, nausea. That's the stress response kicking in hard because the fuel isn't there.
So if you had enough glycogen,
if your liver glycogen stores are replete and your blood sugar is stable, coffee feels completely different. It provides that gentle lift, focus, and warmth without the frantic negative side effects. The sensitivity often disappears when the underlying metabolic state is healthy and fueled.
So the recommendation for someone who thinks they're sensitive:
don't just assume it's the caffeine forever. First, focus on improving your overall metabolic health, replenishing glycogen stores with consistent, balanced meals containing carbs and protein. Then, if you want to try coffee again, start with a very small amount, maybe just a few sips, and always have it with a solid meal. See how you feel. Gradually increase as your metabolic resilience improves.
It really challenges that fixed notion of sensitivity.
It does. It raises that important question. Are you truly sensitive to caffeine, or are you sensitive to your body's current metabolic state, which caffeine happens to expose? More often than not, it's the latter. Fix the foundation, and the sensitivity often resolves.
Okay, this is incredibly empowering. Understanding that sleep issues and sensitivity are often downstream effects of how we use coffee, not inherent flaws of coffee itself, changes the game. So let's get practical. We've talked about the why, the mechanisms, the pitfalls, the benefits. Now, how do we actually do it right? What's the actionable, step-by-step protocol for making coffee a metabolic ally?
All right, let's lay it out. This is the 5-point deep dive protocol we guide our clients with at Biospark Health. Follow these steps, and you'll likely transform your relationship with coffee. Number 1, never, ever drink coffee on an empty stomach. This is the golden rule, non-negotiable, full stop.
Why is it so absolute?
Because, as we've established, doing so always creates a stress response. It spikes cortisol and adrenaline, period. It's fundamentally detrimental to your metabolism long term. And forget the myth about it boosting fat burning. It doesn't do it in a healthy way. It forces your body to break down valuable tissue, including muscle, for emergency fuel. You're undermining your metabolic engine. So rule 1, food first or food with, always. Number 2, Always consume coffee with or immediately after a balanced meal. Don't just have it near food, have it with the meal or right after. And the meal needs to be balanced.
What does balanced mean in this context?
It means including adequate protein, sufficient carbohydrates, and some healthy saturated fat. The protein and carbs provide the necessary fuel, the glucose and amino acids, to meet the increased metabolic demand from the coffee without triggering that stress response. The fat, especially saturated fat like from whole milk or butter or coconut oil added to the coffee or meal, helps to slow the absorption of caffeine slightly and stabilize blood sugar, preventing sharp energy spikes and crashes.
Can you give a concrete example?
Sure. Coffee with a splash of whole milk and maybe a teaspoon of sugar or honey, enjoyed alongside a breakfast of, say, eggs cooked in butter with some fruit or sourdough toast, or black coffee right after finishing that meal. The food acts as a crucial buffer and fuel source. Number 3, timing matters. When you drink, your coffee is important, not just that you drink it with food.
What's the optimal timing?
Ideally, have your first cup after breakfast. Your body's natural cortisol levels peak shortly after waking and then start to decline. Drinking coffee during that peak can sometimes amplify the cortisol effect unnecessarily. Waiting until after breakfast, when cortisol is naturally lower, allows the coffee to provide its lift without piggybacking on peak stress hormones.
So not the absolute first thing you consume upon waking.
Preferably not. Let your body wake up naturally first, have breakfast, then enjoy your coffee. And if you want a second cup. The best time is typically with or after lunch, again, always paired with food. And generally, avoid coffee in the late afternoon or evening to protect sleep, as we discussed. Number 4, quality matters immensely. This is a big one that often gets ignored. Where your coffee comes from and how it's grown is critical.
You mean pesticides and stuff?
Exactly. The shocking truth is that the vast majority, some estimates say, over 97% of the world's coffee is grown using enormous amounts of pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. Coffee is one of the most heavily sprayed crops.
Yikes. Are there regulations on that?
Not effectively enough, especially in the U.S., where there are currently no maximum residue limits set for pesticides specifically on coffee beans. Estimates suggest conventional coffee farming can use upwards of 250 pounds of chemical fertilizers and pesticides per acre. You do not want to be drinking that residue.
So what's the recommendation?
Choose organic at the absolute minimum. This ensures it's grown without synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. Even better, if you can find it and afford it, is biodynamic coffee, which adheres to even stricter ecological and regenerative farming standards. Prioritize clean beans, your liver will thank you. Number 5, preparation method matters. How you brew your coffee also impacts its health profile.
How so? Beyond the beans themselves.
Yes. The main thing here is avoiding plastic. Hot liquids, like coffee, are notorious for leaching chemicals out of plastic containers, brewers, and even cups. We're talking endocrine disruptors like BPA, BPS, phthalates, stuff you really don't want in your body messing with your hormones.
So ditch the plastic Keurig pods and brewers.
Ideally, yes, or at least use reusable stainless steel pods if you have one. Opt for brewing methods and materials that are inert and safe. Think stainless steel, glass, or ceramic.
What are some good methods?
A classic French press, usually glass or stainless steel, a pour-over setup using ceramic or glass cones and unbleached paper filters, or a high-quality espresso machine made with metal components. Even a simple ceramic mug is better than a plastic or styrofoam cup. These small choices reduce your exposure to potentially harmful chemicals leached by the heat.
Okay, that's a clear, comprehensive 5-point plan. Never on empty. Always with after a balanced meal, time it right, choose quality organic beans, and use non-plastic brewing methods. It sounds totally doable and logical.
It really is. It's about respecting the coffee and respecting your body's metabolic needs. Simple shifts, profound impact.
That protocol makes a ton of sense. But let's address a couple more specific groups or concerns people often raise. First, the idea of addiction. People worry about being addicted to coffee. And second, what about folks coming from a very different dietary world, like long-term low-carb or keto? How does coffee fit in or not fit in for them?
Both excellent points, and they require careful consideration. Let's tackle addiction first. The word addiction gets thrown around a lot with coffee. And yes, caffeine does create a physical dependence. If you drink it regularly and stop abruptly, you'll likely experience withdrawal symptoms.
Headaches being the main one, right?
Headaches are classic. Maybe some fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating. Usually lasts a day or two, maybe 3 for some. It's unpleasant for sure, but let's put it in perspective.
How does it compare to other dependencies?
Honestly, the physical dependence on caffeine is generally quite mild compared to the dependence created by many commonly prescribed medications that we readily accept. Think about antidepressants like SSRIs or statins for cholesterol, or even many blood pressure drugs. Stopping those cold turkey can cause serious, sometimes dangerous, withdrawal syndromes or rebound effects. Coffee withdrawal is typically just uncomfortable.
That's a really important comparison. We pathologize coffee dependence, but normalize potentially much more problematic ones.
Exactly. There's a bit of a double standard. We've somehow demonized the relatively mild coffee dependence while often overlooking or accepting much more significant dependencies elsewhere in our lives.
Yeah.
So yes, dependence is real, but the label addiction might be overly strong and the withdrawal is manageable for most. Now, for the low-carb or keto backgrounds, this is critical. This group needs to approach coffee very differently, especially initially. Because, by definition, someone following a strict low-carb or ketogenic diet is keeping their liver glycogen stores chronically low. That's the whole point of the diet, to force the body to run primarily on fat and ketones because glucose availability is minimal.
So they're perpetually in that low fuel tank state we talked about earlier.
Precisely. Which means drinking coffee, especially black coffee, in that state is almost guaranteed to be metabolically stressful. It will spike cortisol and adrenaline significantly because the body has no readily available glucose cushion to handle the caffeine's metabolic demand. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire, stress-wise.
So coffee is basically a bad idea if you're deep into keto or very low carb.
In that depleted state, yes, it's generally metabolically disastrous. It exacerbates the stress state the body might already be in from restricting carbohydrates so severely.
What's the recommendation then if someone in that situation wants to drink coffee or transition back to a more balanced diet?
The absolute first step is to add carbohydrates back into the diet. Focus on replenishing those liver glycogen stores. Don't even think about reintroducing coffee yet. Prioritize getting metabolically supportive carbs back in things like fruits, root vegetables, maybe some properly prepared grains or dairy if tolerated. Heal the underlying metabolic stress first.
Rebuild the foundation.
Exactly. Get the fuel tanks refilled. Once the body has adapted to having carbs again, once glycogen stores are more robust, then you can consider slowly, cautiously reintroducing coffee, following all the rules we just laid out. Small amounts, always with a balanced meal containing those newly reintroduced carbs and protein.
And presumably their tolerance or sensitivity will change as their metabolism heals.
Absolutely. As their glycogen stores become replete and their metabolism becomes more resilient, they'll likely find they can tolerate coffee much, much better. It won't trigger that harsh stress response anymore because the fuel is there, but the sequence is crucial. Fix the fuel situation first, then carefully reintroduce coffee as an ally, not a stressor. Don't rush it. #@9. Reevaluating dangers and unlocking true performance.
That's such important context for the low-carb community.
Yeah.
Okay, so it really seems like almost every negative aspect commonly associated with coffee, the jitters, anxiety, crashes, sleep issues, even the so-called addiction, isn't necessarily caused by coffee itself, but by consuming it in a metabolically compromised or unsupported state.
That's the core message, exactly. The dangers often melt away when you fix the context.
Can you give more examples, maybe from research that got misinterpreted or just things we see clinically?
Sure. Let's revisit those animal studies that scared everyone about caffeine during pregnancy. Remember we mentioned they gave massive doses without food?
Right, causing extreme hypoglycemia.
Well, when subsequent researchers simply replicated those studies but added sugar to the animal's feed to prevent the blood sugar from crashing, guess what happened?
The negative effects disappeared.
Completely vanished. The birth defects, the low birth weight, all gone. It wasn't the caffeine molecule causing the harm. It was the severe, prolonged metabolic stress induced by forcing the body to handle huge doses of a stimulant while starving it of fuel. That context changes everything about how we interpret that data.
Wow. That should have been headline news. It completely reframes the risk.
It really should have. And that same principle applies directly to the common human experiences people blame on coffee. Jitters, likely low blood sugar plus adrenaline. Your body needs fuel. Anxiety. Cortisol and adrenaline surge due to perceived energy deficit. Stress response. Afternoon crash. Your body ran out of the emergency fuel generated by the stress response. The tank is empty. Insomnia. Often elevated cortisol from the daytime metabolic stress carrying over into the night.
So if you provide the fuel, manage the timing, choose quality, these dangers largely resolve.
They often do. And then you unlock the actual benefits of coffee, which are quite profound when consumed properly. We mentioned improved insulin sensitivity. That's huge for long-term metabolic health and preventing diabetes. The protection against neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's is consistently shown in population studies. Enhanced liver function and protection against liver disease. And for athletes or even just regular folks wanting better workouts, coffee consumed correctly can significantly improve athletic performance. Studies show average improvements of around 11–12% in endurance and power output. It helps mobilize fatty acids for fuel, reduces perception of effort. It's a proven ergogenic aid when used strategically.
It shifts from being a necessary evil to a potential performance enhancer and health protector.
Exactly. And anecdotally, drawing from our team's experience and the thousands we've worked with at Biospark Health, the shift is palpable. When people make that change, coffee with fuel, with intention, the whole experience is different. Energy is steady, sleep improves, the enjoyment is real, not desperate. It's like discovering what coffee was actually meant to be. #10, the transformation awaiting you and how to go deeper.
That transformation sounds amazing. Moving from that stressed, wired, and tired state to one of stable energy, calm focus, better sleep. That's what so many people are searching for. Can you summarize again what that typically looks like for someone making these changes? And if listeners are resonating with this, where can they go to learn more and get support?
Yeah, the transformation is consistently positive. The most common things we hear are energy stabilizes throughout the entire day. No more needing naps or fighting that 3 p.m. slump. Anxiety, especially that low-grade, persistent background anxiety, often just disappears. Sleep gets deeper, more restorative. People wake up feeling actually refreshed.
And often weight changes happen too, right?
Often, yes. Weight tends to normalize without forcing it because the metabolism is finally working efficiently, burning fuel appropriately instead of being stuck in stress mode, which can often promote fat storage. Fundamentally, people discover what coffee is supposed to feel like, that gentle lift, the enhanced focus, the warmth, not the desperate jolt followed by a crash. It's a completely different, much more pleasant and productive experience. Now, it's crucial to reiterate, does everyone need to drink coffee? Absolutely not. If you're thriving without it, feeling great, sleeping well, full of energy, fantastic, keep doing what you're doing. There's zero need to add it.
But if you are drinking it and feel bad.
Right. If you're drinking it now and experiencing those negative symptoms, the jitters, anxiety, crashes, poor sleep, or if you quit coffee because of those symptoms but you actually miss it, the core message today is the problem likely wasn't the coffee itself. It was almost certainly the metabolically stressed context in which you were consuming it. Your body was crying out for fuel, not rejecting caffeine.
Understanding that context is the key to potentially reclaiming coffee as an ally.
Precisely. And here at Biospark Health, our research team, our coaches, we've spent years helping thousands of people navigate exactly this, optimizing their coffee habits and, more broadly, their entire metabolic health using these bioenergetic principles. If this resonates with you and you want to dive deeper, we do have resources designed to support that journey.
What kind of resources?
Well, for foundational knowledge, really understanding the why behind all this, not just coffee, but meal timing, macronutrients, stress management. From a bioenergetic perspective, our Energy Essentials mini course is a great place to start. It really breaks down those core principles.
Okay, for the fundamentals, what about a more comprehensive plan?
For a complete roadmap to restructuring your daily routines for optimal metabolic health and sustained energy, our Bioenergetic Reset program offers much more extensive guidance. It covers everything from morning routines to workout strategies to evening wind downs, all through that bioenergetic lens.
And for people needing more personalized help.
If you have specific health challenges, a complex history, or just feel you need individualized guidance, our one-on-one coaching is available. Our coaches work directly with you to create tailored protocols, troubleshoot challenges, and provide that personalized support that can make all the difference in achieving lasting health transformation. We meet you where you are. #outro.
Fantastic. So as we wrap up this deep dive on the coffee paradox, let's just circle back one last time to that core takeaway. It's simple, but it changes everything. Coffee. It's not inherently good. It's not inherently bad. It's a tool.
A powerful tool. And like any tool, how you use it determines the outcome.
Exactly. We've seen there are two clear paths. Path one, use it correctly. With food, with proper timing, choosing quality. It becomes this amazing ally enhancing metabolism, protecting your liver, boosting brain function, even potentially improving sleep. It complements a healthy life.
Path 2, use it incorrectly, on empty, as a crutch to push through exhaustion. And it becomes a metabolic stressor, driving anxiety, causing energy crashes, disrupting sleep, and generally undermining your health. It becomes a drain.
The choice, ultimately, is yours. You can stick with the common cultural script: stressed, depleted, running on fumes and caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can choose to use coffee strategically as a partner to good nutrition, not a replacement for it.
Your body wants to work for you. Your metabolism is ready. It just needs the right signals, the right fuel, the right support. Stop forcing it into emergency mode and start nurturing it.
Well said. And just a final reminder, everyone, the information we share today is for educational purposes. Always consult with your own healthcare provider, preferably one who understands metabolic health, before making any significant changes to your diet or lifestyle.
Absolutely. Personalized care is key.
Okay, so next week on the deep dive, get ready, because we're tackling another huge, often invisible metabolic disruptor: artificial light and EMFs. We're going to explore how your screen time, your Wi-Fi, even the lighting in your house might be impacting your metabolism more profoundly than you think, and what you can actually do about it.
Yeah, that's going to be a really important one. Lots of practical takeaways there.
Definitely. So until then, remember, your energy is waiting.
Yeah.
Your vitality is waiting. Your life is waiting. It's all possible when you understand how to make powerful tools like coffee work for you, not against you. Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.